All right, let's take a look at God's amazing creation, plants and soils. We're going to start by reading from our textbook, lesson 4 on page 65. So grab your textbook for a minute and turn to page 65. What do plants need? Page 65. Some of the things that you need to live are food, water, shelter, clothing, and oxygen. What do you think a plant needs to live? Some of the things that plants need are water, sunlight, minerals, and carbon dioxide. How does a plant get these things? When it rains, water soaks into the ground. Plant roots collect this water and draw it up into the plant. A cactus needs very little water. A rainforest plant needs a lot of water. What happens to a plant that doesn't get enough water? The minerals that plants need are found in the soil. Water in the soil dissolves these minerals. The water that travels up the roots contains these dissolved minerals. Different plants need different amounts of sunlight. Moss doesn't need much sunlight. That's why it can grow way on the bottom of a rainforest, even though it doesn't get much sunlight because of all the tree cover. Corn needs a lot of sunlight, but all plants need some sunlight. They need it to make the sugar that they use for food. The process that plants use to make food is called photosynthesis. To do photosynthesis, plants need sunlight. They also need carbon dioxide for this process. God provides carbon dioxide in the air. When plants do photosynthesis, they produce oxygen. Now, the neat thing is that people and animals breathe oxygen in. We need to breathe oxygen in order to live. And after we breathe the oxygen in, it changes in our bodies, and what we breathe out is not oxygen. What we breathe out is carbon dioxide. So we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. And plants breathe in carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen. So we're partners with plants for making the proper kind of air that each other needs. Another need of plants is to avoid being eaten. Most animals eat plants. Plants can't run away from the animals, but God gives plants ways to survive. Some plants have mats of fine hairs that bother some animals, small animals. The animals won't eat those plants. Other plants have thorns or stinging needles. Some plants give off painful chemicals to make animals stay away. And if you look at the top on the left side of that page, the Venus flytrap. I don't know if any of you have ever seen these before, but they're very neat. It's actually a plant that eats insects. Some plants, such as the Venus flytrap, need meat. Can you believe it? These amazing plants have leaves with spikes for catching insects. They digest the insects to get nutrients. So you can see on that picture there, the leaf is open and it has those spikes on the end. And when a fly lands on it, those leaves will snap shut and those spikes will join together, kind of like when you fold your hands and your fingers are linked together. So that traps the fly in there, and then the fly will die. And as it starts to rot and it dissolves, then the plant eats those nutrients. I bet you didn't know plants ate animals. Next page. Plants are useful to animals. In addition to eating plants, some animals live in plants, such as trees. Plants are useful to people. We breathe the oxygens that plants give off through photosynthesis. We grow many plants, such as wheat, corn, raspberries, carrots, and beans for food. We eat meat, which comes from animals that eat plants. We cut down trees to build our houses, furniture, and other things. We use the chemicals from many plants for medicine. For example, oils from the aloe vera plant treat dry skin. God gives us a great bounty of blessings from plants. As caretakers of God's creation, we must be careful to use these gifts wisely. And there's something neat too on the other page where it says strange truth. When a forest fire starts, people want to put it out, but some trees need forest fires. For example, the cones of the jack pine tree need fire to open so that they can release their seeds. So the jack pine can't reproduce without fire. Some birds live only in the jack pine, so these birds need fires too. So these pine cones, they're closed up so tightly that the only way that they can open up and release their seed is with really, really intense heat, which of course comes from a fire. So they need a forest fire in order to open up the pine cones so that the seeds can get out and can grow more jack pines. Interesting, right? Okay, so let's take a look at some of our slides here and just review some of what we read about. So, plants are living organisms. Just like humans, plants need certain elements to develop, reproduce, and survive. Without these basic needs, a plant cannot grow, produce seeds, or continue its life cycle. Plants need soil. Many of the nutrients a plant needs to grow are found in the soil. Minerals such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are important nutrients taken from the soil through a plant's roots. Plants need water. Plants, like all living things, need water to survive. Plants use water to help them move nutrients throughout the plant. Plants also use water as well as sunlight to make their own food. Plants need sunlight. Plants need energy from the sun to make food. Without sunlight, plants cannot produce chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a key element in the process of photosynthesis, the process by which a plant makes its own food. Plants need room to grow. Plants need space so leaves, stems, and roots can expand as they grow. Overcrowded plants are less likely to gather enough sun to make the food they need. Crowded roots result in smaller plants. Without proper air circulation and enough space to grow, plants can become diseased. So you can see on that picture the corn is very nicely spaced apart. So now in your work package, you have a Venn diagram comparing plant needs to human needs. What sorts of things do plants need? What do humans need? And what do we both need? So you can pause the video here for a few minutes, try and brainstorm a few ideas, write them down, and then turn the video back on to compare it to some of our answers here. So, some things that plants need are soil, the sunlight for energy from the sun, and carbon dioxide. Those are three things that plants need that we don't need. We don't need soil. We don't need carbon dioxide. We need light, but we can get it from other places besides just the sun. Some things humans need that plants don't need: oxygen, food, not food that we make, but food that we are fed and that we eat, shelter, and light. And some things we both need: water, nutrients, minerals, space, and appropriate temperatures. So not too hot, not too cold. So you might have come up with some different ideas. That's fine as well. Plants make food in their leaves. The leaves of a plant produce a green pigment called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll gives leaves their green color and helps plants trap energy from the sun. Each green part of a plant contains chlorophyll that helps absorb the light and convert it into sugar or glucose that the plant needs. What is chlorophyll? Chlorophyll is an important element in the food chain, not only by making food for plants, but by creating energy in plants for animals and humans to eat. Plants make their own food through a process called photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is the process by which green plants use energy from the sun to turn water, carbon dioxide, and minerals into oxygen. Photosynthesis gives us most of the oxygen we need in order to breathe. We, in turn, exhale carbon dioxide that is needed by the plants. So here we can see photosynthesis in action. It starts with water being absorbed by the roots, carbon dioxide being absorbed by the leaves, and energy from the sunlight being absorbed by the whole plant. Then the chlorophyll, the green matter in the plant, works to turn that energy into glucose, a kind of sugar, which gives it energy, and it releases oxygen out of the leaves for us and for animals to breathe. So you have a paper that has that diagram on there. You can take a few minutes to fill it in. Now my answers on here are really long, so you might want to do a shorter form of it. But we have things like sunlight is absorbed by the leaves to provide energy. Oxygen flows from the leaves as the plant makes food. Carbon dioxide is taken in by the holes in the leaves. Food made inside the leaves travels to the rest of the plant. And water and nutrients flow up from the roots to the leaves. So you can pause the video here and you can write these answers down. Like I said, they're pretty long, so you can try and shorten them. Like the top one, you might say, the plant absorbs sunlight, or something like that. Or the bottom one, the roots draw up water. But you can pause it, fill in these, and then we will move on to a couple of videos just summarizing what we just learned.
Clarendon Learning explores the world of science. Photosynthesis. All living things must eat. They must eat food to live. Plants are living things. How do you think a plant eats? Can I feed a plant like this? I don't think a plant could eat like that. People and other animals must eat food. Birds must eat food. Reptiles gotta have food. And fish also must eat. Eat something. And plants. Plants are living things and must have food. How do people eat food? I think most people eat food through their mouth. How do you think a plant eats food? Through its mouth? Maybe.
There's a Venus
if the plant's
flytrap.
a Venus flytrap. If the plant is not a Venus flytrap, then it gets its food through a process called photosynthesis. That's a big word. Say it with me. Photosynthesis. Say it with me a little faster. Photosynthesis. Now say it faster and all together. Photosynthesis. Excellent! I knew you could say it. Photosynthesis is the process that enables green plants, algae, and some bacteria to make their own food. Wait, hold the phone. Did I say make their own food? Yes, I meant what I said. Trees, plants, shrubs, grass, algae. Ew, what's algae? These organisms make their own food, and the way they do it is amazing, and it's called photosynthesis. People cannot magically make their own food, right? It takes shopping and time and preparation. It takes work. I'm hungry just thinking about it. But watch how plants do it. The word photosynthesis comes from two words, photo, which means light, and synthesis, which means to make. Plants use light to manufacture their food, which gives the plant energy. What's the best source of light? Yup, you're right. It's the sun. Let's explore the process of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis occurs in the leaves of trees and plants, in microscopic structures of the leaves called chloroplasts, which contain chemical molecules of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the element that gives leaves its green color. 3 elements are required for a plant to perform photosynthesis. Number 1, carbon dioxide is required. Carbon dioxide is a gas in the air. All animals expel carbon dioxide when they breathe out. Plants like that. Plants need carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is absorbed into the leaves of the plant. Number 2, plants need water. All living things need water. You need water just like plants. The water in the soil is absorbed into the roots of the plant and travels up into the leaves of the plant. What do you think number 3 is? What is the third thing that plants need? We mentioned it before. Remember what photo means in photosynthesis? If you said light, you would be right. Light energy is absorbed into the leaves of the plant. And what is the best source of light? You got it, the sun. Some plants can be grown indoors. They still need light energy. It takes a special lamp to produce the right kind of light that plants need to perform photosynthesis. Now that you know the 3 things necessary, let's see how they all work together. Water, in the form of moisture, reaches the leaves of trees and plants through the root system. Carbon dioxide is also being absorbed into the leaves and into the chloroplasts. Light energy falls upon the leaves and is absorbed by the chlorophyll. And when all the ingredients come together, bam! The chemical reaction known as photosynthesis has just occurred, and the plant has made its own food. Food in the form of glucose, which is a type of sugar. Plants and trees use these sugars to grow and make flowers and fruit and vegetables, the things we need to live. Another byproduct of photosynthesis is oxygen. Plants give off oxygen during photosynthesis, and we need to breathe oxygen. Look how neat this is. We, people and animals, breathe out carbon dioxide, which plants need to grow, and plants give off oxygen, which we need to grow. What a beautiful relationship. All living things on Earth rely on plants and trees and grasses of all kinds, all over the world. We rely on the process of photosynthesis so they can be healthy and continue to grow. Let's protect our forests. Thanks for following Clarendon Learning. Be sure to subscribe.
And why do leaves change color in the fall? Does that maybe have anything to do with photosynthesis and chlorophyll?
In the autumn, when the weather cools, something amazing happens up in the trees. All the green leaves begin to change colors: yellow, red, orange, and brown. But what makes the leaves change color, and what makes them fall? To answer these questions, we need to learn a little bit about how leaves work. Leaves are the food factory of the plant. Trees take in water through their roots, and sunlight and carbon dioxide through their leaves. They use the energy from the sunlight to turn water and carbon dioxide into oxygen and glucose, a kind of sugar. The oxygen is released back into the atmosphere where it can be used by animals. The glucose is used to feed the plant. The process plants use to make their food is called photosynthesis, and it is possible because plants have a bright green chemical inside of them called chlorophyll, which allows them to absorb the energy from sunlight. Chlorophyll is what makes leaves look so green. As summer ends and fall begins, the days begin to grow shorter and the nights longer, meaning that less light is available. This is a signal to the tree that the growing season is at an end and that winter is coming. During the winter, there is not enough light or water for the broadleaf trees to make their food. Instead, they will rest and live off of the food they store during the summer, so they begin to shut down their food factories. The trees stop sending water to the leaves. All the chlorophyll in the leaves gets used up, and the tree doesn't make any more. With the chlorophyll gone, the green color fades, and other colors become visible in the leaves. Different types of trees may have different chemicals in their leaves. which is why leaves from different trees may turn different colors in the autumn. Once the leaves have dried up, they begin to drop off, and soon the branches of the trees are bare. Trees that lose their leaves every winter are called deciduous trees. Not all trees lose their leaves, however. Evergreen trees keep their leaves all year long. Evergreen leaves, usually called needles, are small and tough. They won't be damaged by the cold winter weather, and they won't cause the tree to lose water like bigger leaves do. Because of this, evergreen trees don't drop their needles in the fall, and so can stay green all year round. This helps evergreens to survive in climates that are too cold for deciduous trees. Now that you know why the leaves change color and fall in the autumn, take a look and see if you can find out what kind of trees live near you.
All right, so one last thing to do. I'm not going to assign this because I know you will not all be able to do it. But if you have a chance, I have a really fun experiment for you to do. So right now, a lot of grocery stores and garden centers are selling new plants, like baby vegetable plants to put in the garden. And they come usually in little packs of 4 plants for about $2. So something like, it's called a cell pack. It has 4 tomato plants in it, or 4 cucumber plants, or 4 bean plants, something like that. And there's, like I said, there's usually 4 in a pack, and they're all around the same size, and it costs usually between $1 and $2. If your parents are able to pick up one of those packs for you of 4 different plants, then there's a really neat experiment that you can do. Because remember, we said that plants need light, air, and water. So what we would do is we would take one of those plants, and that would be what we call our control. Now, a control means it's a part of the experiment that doesn't change. It gets everything it needs. So that one plant you would put on a little plate or something so we don't get mud on the windowsill. You will put it on the windowsill where it can get sunlight and where it can get lots of fresh air, and you would make sure that you water it every day or two. Don't water it too much because we don't want to rot it, but make sure it has enough water. So that's our control. It gets everything it's supposed to. Then the 3 other ones each get only 2 things that they're supposed to. So one of them, you're going to put it on the windowsill so it gets lots of light, and you're going to water it every day or two so it gets water. But you're going to put it inside a Ziploc bag, and if you can, use a straw to try to suck out as much air as you can. So it's not going to have air. And we want to see what will happen to it. Now, of course, it will get a little bit of air every time that you open the bag to water it. So just water it as quickly as you can and then suck all the air back out again and see. So that one might take a little longer for the experiment because it is getting a little bit of air every once in a while, but that'll still be neat to see. Another one you're going to put on the windowsill, and you will let it get lots of sunlight on the windowsill. You will leave it out of a bag so that it can get lots of fresh air on the windowsill, but you're not going to water it, so it doesn't get any water at all. And see what happens to that one. I think that one will probably change the fastest. And then the third one, the last one that's not our control, you're going to leave it open so it gets lots of fresh air, and you're going to water it every couple of days so it has plenty of water, but you're going to put it in a closet or maybe in the cupboard under the kitchen sink, somewhere where it does not get any light at all. And then you would leave all 4 of those and watch them, and every day or two you can write down what's happening with them. You keep a record so you can say what's happening with each one of them. I think you probably know what's going to happen to the 3 that are all not getting something, because we learned today it must have water, light, and air. So if it doesn't have all three of those, the plant is probably going to die. But it'll be interesting to see which one dies the fastest, what it needs the most in order to stay healthy. So you'll be able to watch the changes in each one of them. So if you get a chance to do that, try it out. Make sure you let us know how it works. Maybe even take pictures of it if you can. Let us know how it works on the journal. I would love to see if some of you do that. If you can't do it, I understand some parents won't be able to go out and get the plants. That's totally fine. Just if you get a chance, give it a try. All right, have fun.